Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hola. In one of my previous videos, I did 5 top reasons why doctors who I have seen, who are my friends and colleagues, fail the AKT. But in today's video, I'm going to be telling you about 5 top ways to ensure success in your AKT. Number 1, and it may sound cliche, is preparation. Preparation in terms of your preparation time. Most people I see that clear the AKT tend to prepare for between 3 to 5 months. The shortest preparation time that I've seen from a doctor who has cleared the AKT is in 7 weeks. But the question when it comes to preparation time is this: what time is appropriate for me? That doctor that cleared this exam in 7 weeks had a very strong clinical knowledge base. So there is a strong foundation to build upon. And that's why in answering this question, I always get from friends, oh, for how long should I prepare, Ola? For how long should I prepare? The honest answer to that is yes. Most people spend 3 to 5 months, but who are you? How is your knowledge base like? That will help us answer that question. Another thing that we often forget when it comes to preparation is to take our personal circumstances into it. That, my friend, for instance, who cleared it in 7 weeks, is a single man, lives alone, he just goes to work, comes back and studies. That time will be completely insufficient for a woman or a man who has family, who has children to deal with, who has other responsibility. So we must not only think about it in terms of the time, we must also look at it in terms of our personal circumstances. With my responsibilities, how much study time can I realistically put into preparing for this exam? The other thing in terms of preparation is the time we take the exam. Yes, many people take it at the end of ST2 when they've had at least some sort of exposure to primary care, and that is very important. Some take it at the beginning of ST3, but I find a pattern of people taking it whilst in busy rotation, in A&E, in medicine rotation, and they just don't have enough time to put into it in order to be ready for this thing. Another is the curriculum itself. We need to go through the curriculum in good time, right from ST1 if possible, such that you know exactly early on what you are up against and you begin to passively prepare for it. What is passive preparation? Passive preparation is over a long time when you gradually raise your knowledge base. This is particularly important in IMGs. Why it's important is because many of us are coming from places where the prevailing medical conditions are completely different from what we see in the UK. If I was practicing in Nigeria now, I would have seen a lot of sickle cell diseases, I would have seen a lot of infective processes, a lot of malaria, but the presentations are different in here. So what that means is that I now have a lot of work to do in order to cover those common presentations here compared to someone who had gone to medical school in the UK. So that is what will help increase my knowledge base to ensure that I pass this exam. The second thing is the exam technique. When I speak to people, one of the things I spend the bulk of my time doing is to try to show people the right technique for the exam. There is a particular style of questioning for the AKT. And when it comes to the exam technique, I see a lot of people preparing with all sorts of materials, but it is important to prepare with materials that have a similar style of questioning to the exam, such that your mind is put in that headspace, such that you know exactly what you're thinking about. if you watch out for my next video, I'm going to be answering live questions such that you can see exactly what I'm talking about in terms of the technique. Now, the problem with this technique is because many of us, particularly IMGs, are not used to seeing questions or being asked questions using these styles of questioning, such that yes, we know the technique, but we haven't practiced the technique over many weeks, over many months, such that it becomes our second nature in how we answer the question. We learn the technique, we don't practice with the technique, we then try to apply the technique in the exam, which makes us slow, which makes us not effective, which makes us poor time managers. Which brings me to the second thing when it comes to the poor technique is the domains. It's important as we are preparing for the clinical component of it to also spend a lot of time to prepare for the admin side of it and to prepare for the statistics side of it. Whilst preparing for the AKT, I remember I was completely hopeless when it comes to statistics. So I had to learn all the concepts and I had to regularly practice them almost on a daily basis to make sure that those formulae I had learned, those graphs, those charts I had learned, I retained them and they became second nature to me such that I could easily apply them on the exam day. The same goes to the hospital administration because these are not clinical stuffs that the average doctor is used to. They are about how to deal with healthcare processes, how to manage healthcare in the primary care, such that it's something that may feel a little bit distant to us, yet they are one of the surest ways. Doing well in them are the surest ways to pass these exams. The third, when it comes to the technique, is time management. And like I often say, if you're preparing for 16 weeks or 12 weeks, do a timed mock every week. Do a timed mock every week because with a timed mock, you are able to condition your body, you are able to condition your mind to the time demands of the exam. Look for a time you're alone, that no one else is with you. Putting your stopwatch at the same time that the exam is going to give you and answer the same number of questions with you trying to replicate examination conditions. With that, the exam day will not, be something new to us. What many of us tend to do is that we've not done a lot of time mocks. We then go to the exam and the exam is completely new to us. So it's difficult. And the third thing is the mindset of the exam. And like I said in my last video, it tends to come from the just a GP thing, or from those who have written other college exams who think I've written the MRCP. I mean, what can the AKT possibly be? We need to drop that. Like I said, and like you may have heard from your colleagues, the AKT is a formidable exam. That it's formidable does not mean it cannot be passed. Of course, it can be passed. Many people have passed it before you, and many will pass it after you, and you will pass it as well. But we must approach it with the respect it requires, knowing exactly what this exam is about. Now, this exam is not about the clinical knowledge. No, it is called the applied knowledge test. It is about how a doctor is able to apply the clinical knowledge to solve the problems underpinning the practice of general practice in the UK. So it's not about gathering the fact alone, no. It is using the fact gathered for the purpose of problem solving. That's what this exam is about. So once we have that at the back of our mind and we are reviewing questions, it will not be us just wanting to validate ourselves by scoring high, because I get a lot of, hey, Dr. La, I failed my exam, but I've been scoring 80% in the exam, in the marks. I've been scoring 80% in all sort of question banks. Why did I fail? And the answer is because the concepts have not been learned. The concept hasn't been learned and the application hasn't been learned. So when I then answer question, it's not what the right answer is or what the wrong answer is. It's okay, this is the answer quite all right. If this question was to change and the question was asking me what the second line management would be, what would the answer be? How do I investigate this condition? How do I make a diagnosis of this condition? On what grounds do I make an urgent referral in here? When would I do a 2 weeks wait? So I will be asking myself all the issues around one single question that I've answered, such that with one single question I've gathered a lot of clinical information that I'm then able to apply in my exam. Number 4 is we don't need to be afraid. Like I said, many have passed these exams before us. We will, and many will still pass it. If you're in any doubt as to whether you can pass this exam in your first attempt, just look at me. Just look at me. I passed it in my first attempt. And many others have done that. You will as well. So there's no need to be afraid. There's no need to be scared. Just do your homework well. Once the homework is done well, certainly one will clear this exam. The last but not the least is, if you have any thoughts or any suspicion that there might be an undiagnosed neurodevelopmental problem, please seek referral. I get a lot of IMGs equating being diagnosed with neurodevelopmental problems to competence. Equating it to, oh, they are saying I'm not a competent doctor. No. What we are saying is that if neurodevelopmental problems are there, we want to be able to pick them up so that we can help doctors, so that we can help people succeed. So if there is a suspicion of it, if it's been raised by supervisors, it's been raised by TPDs, please submit yourself for an assessment. If the assessment comes back positive, please inform the examination board early on that you are wanting a reasonable adjustment applied to your AKT, such that that can be considered, and the college usually considers it on a case-by-case basis with, of course, all the evidences sent to them, such that they can make changes for you. Some people get some added time, some people get all sort of reasonable adjustments done depending on what their clinical condition is, but that needs to be looked at. So friends, those are my 5 top tips on passing the AKT without any problems. Please look forward to my video where I will answer some AKT questions in order to demonstrate exactly what the technique of answering the questions should look like, and what the technique of questioning in terms of the questioning style is like, such that you further understand how to approach these questions with the aim of succeeding in them. If you've liked this video, please do well to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, share with your friends who are still in ST1, share with them, very important. Let them know what they are up against early on. Remember the passive preparation I mentioned, so that they can begin to do that and begin to gradually raise their knowledge base so that they clear this exam. I will see you in my next video.